All right, and we're back with episode 60 of the Eric and Tony Show with our special guest, Kelsey Lane. It finally happened.
Yeah.
Finally got you to be on the show.
Guys, you couldn't afford real horns, or
Well, in fact,
just mouth horns?
we both
the polls say that they like the fake horns better. Like that's
The mouth horns they like.
Plus, I moved out here for folio art years ago, so like I got a wicked fucking broken glass. Psst.
Show them the printer, dude. Show 'em the
printer. Yeah. What else?
Wait, did you call it folio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Foley.
That's it. That's probably why I didn't get the jobs. You're applying to the wrong jobs. Damn it.
When we moved out here, we like
Update my resume.
Go out to the bars and shit, just be talking stupid, and we do that. We like I'd intro Tony like that. Yeah, dude, he moved out here for sound effects.
Got a sick ass
check
sound
his
effects.
sound effects
Yeah.
out. Check broken glass.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
shit.
Clean up this bar. Another broken.
Yeah, like dumbass shit like that.
Yeah.
Did it ever work with the ladies? They're like, whoa.
No, we usually
So
run
now
home
my
alone.
That's probably why it didn't work out.
Killing it with the 5-year-olds though at the playground though. Like,
A lot of lonely
Yeah.
strolls home at night from the bars.
just working on new sound effects. That's why the air horns are coming out. You know, back in the single market again. Yeah.
Ladies.
Ladies.
It worked,
watch
on each
out.
other. It worked on each other really good. It was just something that we always were laughing at, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's kind
funny,
of
dude.
yeah.
You guys just start blowing each other. Like, I'm so sorry. You should have done the horns, man.
Yeah.
Horns make me horny, dude. You know how it is.
Hilarious.
You know
Why'd
how
you
it
do
goes.
that?
Yeah.
We're friends. We're friends.
It's totally cool, right?
So what's going on in your world, Kelsey?
Just put her on the spot.
Yeah.
Power steering's out. I'll give you some
Power
more
Yes.
stuff.
steering
Yeah.
is out
Yes.
in your world right now.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so messed up.
It is
because apparently my kind of car, there was like a recall for my specific power steering issue. So
The
they
blue
fixed
oval.
it for free.
Yeah.
They fixed it for free. And then today I turned
You,
my
you
car
can tell you got a free fix job because it's broken. You get what you pay for, as they say.
It did not work.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, next. Like, just,
We'll
yeah,
get
whatever.
you out of our hair for a couple weeks and maybe you'll die. I just won't have to worry about you anymore.
All right, second recall.
Also, the crazy thing is
Second
like
recall.
total recall.
the
Yeah,
fact that, like,
this is a total recall.
what I don't understand is like power steering, right? Like I understand it works. It makes it easy for you to steer, but like the massive difference between regular steering and power steering is like fucking night and day. Like you can't even steer your car because like old school cars that didn't have power steering, you can still somewhat turn it. But it was like, but this shit, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And you said it's like it's a non-fluid electrical like power steering. Like,
Yeah.
there you go. Electricity's not the future, people. You fucking analog pulleys and all that kind of
What
stuff.
car is this on? We're wondering what car it's on.
Should I reveal it? No, it's a Ford Fusion hybrid.
Really?
So if you have a Ford Fusion hybrid, I think you're
About to get recalled.
2011. Yeah.
Gotta get a phone
Your
call.
power
Recall,
steering's
yeah.
gonna go out.
Yeah,
I'm like, lose Ford all of their money. Wait, I have stock in them. You got to pay for yourself for sure.
Ford
Yeah, that sounds like a
Fusion
nightmare.
Hybrid.
So your parking situation though, you're in an actual parking garage. So you do like an 80-point turn to get that thing out of there.
No, oh my gosh. My parking situation's hilarious. Okay, so parking in my neighborhood is trash because Hollywood.
Yeah.
So when that said it came with a parking spot, I was like, nice. I went there, like, sign the lease, and they're
Yeah.
like, this is your parking spot. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's like tandem. Like, I just like asked like the neighbor to move their car,
Yeah.
and then they were like, oh no, you don't do that. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? so
Just
so my
wish it
parking
out of there.
my parking spot is all right. This is my spot, right? I don't know what this is my parking spot.
Yeah.
There's a car parked next to me. There's a car parked behind me here, and nothing behind this car. So what I got to do is every day. I've gotten really good at it, actually.
How is that even
So you have to
possible?
like angle out.
Yeah.
There's like an angle opening that you're supposed to maneuver out of.
Yep, and then I got to do like a 4 or 5 point turn every day.
Wow.
Mm. Yeah, that's not like a parking spot. That's like a fucking obstacle course.
Yep, absolutely. Actually,
It's
Yeah.
it's like a spot in the middle of like cars that surround it. They're like, yeah, there's a spot, but you just got to figure out how to get your car
yeah,
in there.
Exactly.
Like you can put a car there.
Yeah.
It's just
Cars can park there. I mean,
Yeah, there
how
is
they get
a,
out, I don't know, but
yeah.
yeah.
we'll charge you for it.
Yeah, there is a moat of cars you
Yeah.
must get past.
Yeah, exactly. That's
This is
fucking
Oregon
crazy.
trailer parking. I was like, you can either caulk and forward to the river, or
My car has died of dysentery several times. That's what the power steering
grueling
issue is.
pace.
Actually.
Yeah,
And I feel like any place you live in this town, if you're renting especially too, they're just like, yeah, I don't know, fuck you. Like,
Literally,
you want it or not, someone else will take it.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
shitty, horrible parking spot.
Yeah.
Like they just don't give a fuck. They're just
Yep.
like, yeah. Like anything
Yep.
could be like, yeah, the fucking like there's water coming in, there's electrical fire, yeah, fucking you're pumping dry well, call someone else. We don't give
Yeah.
a shit.
Yeah.
Like move, then move,
Yeah, dude.
and
what
then you're
am
like, I can't move. Like
Yeah.
it's too expensive already. Yeah, and it'll be more expensive if I move to a shittier place, and it'll be even more expensive.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we know. That's why we don't give a fuck. That's
Yeah.
why we don't return calls. We just like
exactly.
they have all the power. It's like so nuts.
I
It should be like
know.
some weird like renters union or something that you can like join whenever you like rent a place.
Yeah, it's
Like-
called squatters' rights.
yeah.
That's
It's
true.
called stop paying. No.
That's very true. We do have like the hardcore like renters rights in the state of California. Like you can literally like not even live in a place and just be like, I live here now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can't
You
move
can get
me.
the same thing too when you like mistakenly get like a roommate that you don't want, like like a
Yeah.
you did like basically try to kick them out somehow, but then they have rights to stay there, and
Right.
then now you're stuck with
Oh,
the fucking like trash roommate.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that show Worst Roommate Ever on Netflix?
Yeah, I've
Yes.
seen that show, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so
It
scary.
made me feel good about every roommate I've ever had. And I was like, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, could have
Yeah.
been that person.
My bad roommates have been like comically bad, where they're just like, I don't know. I caught a roommate of mine wearing my underwear one time, like after like I came back from a bar, and like this is like in my early 20s and stuff, and like we're brushing our teeth in the bathroom, and
Like on
he-
his face.
No. He's using it as a pillowcase. He's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
out of the
was
dirty
he
hammer.
sniffing them too?
Yeah, probably.
He's
But it was
"Oh,
like,
hey, Tony.
it was just like,
wearing
I didn't think you'd be home this early.
yeah. Spider-Man? Wait,
Yeah.
it's my roommate.
doing,
Those are my
bro?
underwear.
Wait,
Yeah.
you guys were brushing your teeth together? That's so adorable.
Well, yeah, it was like, well, yeah, it's like that.
Sure,
We had like,
toothbrush.
we had a 2-bedroom apartment in Pacoima, right? So this is the fucking like shit part of the valley, our part of the valley. And then it was like me, my older brother, and this roommate. And then we all went out to like the Roxy and shit, like, bars on the Sunset Strip. I was doing construction at the time. It was like fucking late. We closed the bar down, went to an after bar, and I had to be at work at 6 in the morning. So it was like this 3-hour window of like, let's share the bathroom, everyone brush their teeth and wash their face, like, responsible
Brady
adults.
Bunch
Yeah. Yeah.
action.
And I was like, you wear my underwear? Like I didn't. It was like I was so tired and just kind of disoriented. I'm like, I'm not even gonna dress this right now. I need to go to the fucking sleep. Like, we're already gonna be hungover at work, and I'm working with like fucking power saws and shit. So like I've had a saw kick back at me and almost like cut my dick off. And I was like in my 20s. I'm like, that's suicide for me. I'm not gonna just go through life like with no genitalia. You know what I mean? So,
Dickless Wonder.
yeah,
Tony
the old
Klein.
Dickless Wonder. Yeah, always. Why is that guy always single?
You probably got on AGT though.
Yeah, probably. Be a eunuch and shit. Anyways, I came home from work and the underwear were back in my drawer, and I was like in front. I'm like, hey, dude, did you wash these? I know you wore these underwear. No, but they're still clean. Like, they're not still clean. I don't wear underwear that I wore once, let alone someone else wore them. Like, they're yours now, but it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Because we'd share shirts and shit, like, like fucking girls, like, you want to borrow a shirt, you shoot, and it usually I would always lend. I got a good fucking wardrobe.
Even
That's
but even with
adorable.
that, you
Yeah.
always would like if you lend a shirt, you like it's not
Wash
like,
it and return
Here
it.
you go. Here's the back, like clean.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
like a normal person, but not
Yeah.
like. You've had some fucking weird roommates too. Like another guy you told me about that you used to live with used to tan inside the house. where,
Same
like,
person.
the-
Same person. Same exact person.
Where the sun would come in, so he'd
Yeah.
like lay down a towel and like lather up and like
On
like
the living
oil
room
and shit
floor,
and just
carpet,
lay in
yeah.
the living room and like let the sun, because there wasn't like a place to like sunbathe outside in the
Same apartment
neighborhood.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get tan in, like the sun does come in and tan the floor, but you can be laying on that floor.
Could you imagine that? You come home and there's some psycho tanning in the middle of the living room. Like,
It's nice tan.
what?
Where'd you get that? My living room.
Yeah.
Wait, have you ever seen that?
What's that tan line from? My roommate's underwear.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I have multiple questions. Number one, have you ever seen where people will tan their assholes by like putting
Yeah.
you just
Like
walk into
solar
that and
charging
you're
or
like,
something like that. Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
preferred you wearing my underwear, honestly.
real, yeah.
We had a roommate give
Yeah.
himself fucking coffee enemas.
What
He
does
wasn't
that
a roommate.
mean?
He was like a squatter. It was a friend of ours that like he was like
He
in
was
in
kinda.
between places and shit.
Yeah.
We've had a couple series of this when Eric and I used to live together. Like friends that were down on their luck, but
Or
also
like
kind of
needed a
like
place for like a
Yeah,
couple weeks
that's
that
like-
turned into like a few months.
Exactly. And then it's also they're like living rent free. And I'm like, okay, so now you have like our living room, which is the biggest part of our apartment. And you're like, I'm like trying to like, I had like drinking coffee as well. Not the coffee this guy uses as an enema, but like I had to go to the bathroom. I had to go number 2. Eric had his girlfriend over, so I couldn't use his bathroom. And I had to go to the gym to go take a shit because this guy's doing a 15-minute coffee enema. I'm like, hey man, I need to get in there. He's like, I'll be out in like 15 minutes. I'm like, I don't have 15 minutes. I'm going to shit myself in my own apartment because you're fucking doing some weird enema with coffee in my place that you're not paying for. Meanwhile, like, you know, me and Eric are fucking putting our rent money together to pay rent. This guy's just putting all his cash in a shoebox under the couch. I'm like, how? Okay, you gotta
What's
go.
going on here?
Yeah, you gotta
I've
go.
like walked in, not knowing that he was home once, and like he's literally laying on the floor with like a hose up his ass with like a funnel and like pouring coffee in it. I'm like, he's like, oh, I'm doing my coffee enema, and he was like, he smoked like a shit ton of cigarettes, and so he was like
Yeah.
really worried about cancer. And I'm like, so like you're shoving coffee up your ass to like prevent cancer?
Get
but
more coffee up your ass to take care of cancer.
Yeah, it's like the craziest shit ever.
Dude, the same
So
guy
crazy.
also like smoked a sentimental pack of cigarettes my dad gave me. My dad did like that thing where like he bought a carton of cigarettes and then a carton for me, but like they didn't have a full carton at the gas station, so he bought me like 10 loose packs and like a grocery bag. And like,
You know how
smoke
every
up to it.
dad
Yeah,
does,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, father son moment.
Oh,
And I had saved one left, and I had like the Wisconsin, you know, tobacco stamp on the bottom and shit. And I came home and I was like, hey man, where are my fucking cigarettes at? Oh, dude, don't worry. I smoked them. I'll get you another pack. But you can't give me another pack. My dad gave those to me. And like, they're gonna go to Wisconsin and have him buy a pack. Like that's like wasn't just like. Then he bought me like a different brand of cigarettes. I was like, dude, this is like you're missing the point. I'm not like trying to replace 20 cigarettes. You're trying to replace a fucking memory. You know what I mean?
It's like a Sandlot ball and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you like Sandlot
Yeah.
balled your fucking.
But if it
pack
would be
of
better if he
cigarettes.
like got a pack that my dad signed, or like all my dad's subcontractors signed and shit like that. Like, yeah, but
It's like, where'd my dad's ashes go? It's like, sorry, I just thought that
I
was
smoked
coffee.
those
It's
too. Yeah,
up
he's
my
like-
ass right now.
exactly.
Fucking do it.
My dad's ashes. I tried to get some of those when I was back home, and,
Ash
and,
enema.
my little sister's like, I spread them around town. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, like no one wanted them. I'm like, you didn't ask me. I would definitely wanted some of Dad's ashes. She's like, well, I might have some laying around. I'm like, laying around. I'm like, God, I have to go fucking find like parts of my dad around town and fucking put together a memory chest and shit.
Like
Yeah.
some over there under that bush,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
oh my, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. Tony.
Just all these traumatic
It's-
moments.
it's
and like,
the,
you could
ending
smoke
of
the
it,
cigarettes he
yeah.
got you and make that
Exactly,
his ashes.
Yeah. Little more, I got a little more dad right here. My dad used to always say this fucking funny ass thing because he was like sober towards the end of his life. But like when we used to smoke cigarettes, he'd always like, you know, instead of being like, hey, Tone, you want to go have a cigarette? He'd be like, hey, you want to go do the last habit I have left? I was like, all right, let's go smoke a cigarette.
The last what I have left?
Habit I have left.
Oh.
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, he was done drinking, done beating his wife, just still smokes cigarettes. That's the last habit left.
What if he's like, hey, you want to go beat my wife with me? and have a
You
cigarette?
would take the
Just
day out
roll
on your
times.
mouth. Yeah.
You angry
Yeah.
about anything in life? You want to take it out
Yeah.
on somebody?
Hey, Sandy, come over here. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even our producer is shook right
Same.
now.
Yeah.
He's like,
No,
Jesus Christ.
you can't hurt anyone anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Dead dads. You got any dead parents yet?
Unfortunately not. No.
Yeah. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you close with your parents?
No.
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 Have you ever heard
No,
her
no.
set? That's the only reason why I asked that question so freely. I mean, like,
Like they don't like no contact or like once in a while, or is it like, oh,
Once
they're
in a-
calling or
Once in a while.
Once
I
in a
feel like
while.
I have that thing where
Yeah.
like
my mom's my best friend. We talk every day.
I wish. No.
Mhm.
No, I just feel like it's the hardest thing to like realize that some people just aren't good for you to have in your life, and it's so much harder to like find out that like it's your parents.
Yeah.
Because you're like, because everyone's like, what? Like that's your parent. And you're like, yeah, but like they're bad for me. Like
Yeah. Not every parent should be a parent and stuff. Like I love my mom. I have a good relationship with her and shit, but like, I don't know. There's just, yeah. I mean, and I have a great stepdad, but our relationship is definitely better the further I live away from them. And
Yeah.
like I wouldn't want to live too close, and like because of that, you know, distance makes the heart grow fonder and shit. And I don't know, maybe, you know, some point in time might, you know, you and your mom might get closer and steal more coins out of the water fountain, you know, all that.
yeah, exactly.
Those family tricks and shit. But
Exactly. And you know, it's like Oh, no, it's gone. I don't know what I was going to say.
I have really good parents. My parents are really nice. They're really.
What the hell happened to you?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm still fucked up.
Oh wait, that's why I'm not a comedian.
Yeah. But like as I get older though, like I realize I disagree with them on a lot of other things that I was never really aware of, that like the older I get I feel a lot stronger about. And those are the things that are kind of like, I think, getting in the way of my relationship with my parents. Not that like they're bad parents, they're amazing parents, but like those ideologies that we both have are very different. And that's kind of like a hard thing. Kind of like, you know, like they say never talk about like politics and religion at the dinner table and all that kind of stuff. It's basically like that kind of stuff that it's just like, what? You know, I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, but yeah, other than that, my parents are solid people. It's just, you know, everybody, I think, has something about their parents. When I think everybody, when you get older, you're just like, oh, like I just was unaware of this thing that they do, or this, you know, way that they think that I never thought of. And then you get older, and then you're like, oh, you know, you kind of. I think everybody goes through that. Like
Also, too,
my
as
parents
you
probably went
age-
through that with their parents, and like, yeah, the age and all that.
No,
stuff.
not only the age is, but when you age to the point of like when your parents had you, were like, and I ironically had my son the same. I was the same age as my dad when he had me, but my dad already had like fucking, you know, my older brother and sister, and then like some other stray kids that are around the country. I have like random fucking like through 23andMe, I found out I have like at least 2 other siblings that I didn't know about and shit that like, ooh, were they bummed to find out my dad is their dad?
Oh my.
Yeah, but like,
What?
but to find out like my mom was like 28 when she had me, right? So there's like this thing where like, you know, I had like, you know, judgments on her having kids with my dad and stuff, and I was like, yeah, you're a fucking kid though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like to like, you know. I know you're not 28 yet. But when you get there, you know. But like, you know, how old was your mom when she had you?
33.
Okay. So you're not her age yet, are you? Yeah, you got 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to that age, but there's that thing. So like, yeah, to think about like, you know, I don't know if you have any like milestone fucking like moments and shit, or like, you know, I remember certain things that happened to me as a kid, right? Where I'm like, I look back and I'm like, for example, so like, you know, I joke about my dad getting a DUI with a car, me and in the car and shit. I was 8 when that happened. So I'm like, okay, so when I'm 45, do I see me getting a DUI with my kid in the car? I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen unless my life goes completely out of control and shit.
Right.
That, but there's just like this things. I'm like, yeah, me and my dad, we're not on the same fucking trajectory as far as parenting goes and shit that. But like, I still think that there's some points where he was like still trying to do what he, you know, could do like for the best he could. But like, he also just didn't have the skill set. And like, you know, there's just like, he's just a fucking product of yet another shitty cycle of parenting. And like, I think he did better than his dad did to him, but like, it's just like one of those things where like really waiting and like, you know, kind of eyeing the scene out before I had kids. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do that. You know, I'm not gonna do that. I still end up getting a divorce, but you know, that's, you know, I only saw, you know, I dodged a couple of bullets and shit. And that's kind of a thing, you know, when it comes to like, you know, you and you're looking at your parents and stuff.
Well,
like
I look at them more like not those examples, but like more so like finding out that they're like old or getting old or like kind of out of touch with stuff, and like things that I'm like, why didn't you just fix that? Or why don't you just do this instead of what that, like they have like their Wi-Fi password at home, it's framed and it's
hilarious.
like XJD-5400 or whatever. I'm like, you can change that to like the, you know,
1, 2,
whatever
3, 4.
or like, you know, the fun whatever, like anything other than
there's a way to make it exactly.
or like our password, you know, like anything other than like this crazy
Eric's Wi-Fi.
yeah, the fun house. It could be like anything, but they have it that, and so I'm like, why just don't you just change that? And then like they have the ability to like watch like YouTube and stream things, but like no one can ever figure out how to do it because there's like these like 3
Netflix doesn't come to our house.
like, there's like 3 tiers of like older generation like audio equipment and stuff that they have like remotes for that. Oh, you have to turn this on and this, and I'm like this is so crazy here. Yeah, I'm like, you could just like get rid of all this stuff and just get like a normal thing that works.
Yeah.
Like they still have like a phone that has like a
landline?
like like they still have like the caller ID, like the little caller ID thing, and then it has a voicemail, like not even voicemail. What's that called? Is that a voicemail?
Answering machine?
Yeah,
Answering machine. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm getting old. So they have that still. And like, so I'm like, you have a landline with an answering machine and the caller ID.
Well, Eric, where else is the fax machine gonna go?
yeah, I'm like, you could just get get rid of all this. This is all like so like it's such an inconvenience. Like it doesn't even work that great. It like
There's not a counter
there's
space. You just
there's
brag
literally
over
like
there.
a pen that they stuck where the antenna is because the antenna broke
That's
like years ago.
hilarious.
So they stuck like a pen in the top.
It's
So
a
I'm like
good pen, too.
talking on the phone.
Wrote
Like
a lot of letters
pen
in that pen.
sticking out. I'm like,
Sent a lot of mail
what
with
is
that
going
pen.
on? Like I remember when we were kids.
Well, what
my-
else you can do with the pen? But that is also very much that generation where you just like, do not throw that pen away. It's done, but we're not
Kinda,
we're
but
not
it's-
done with it yet.
But it's that, but then it's also just like I don't know, like just don't.
Because
like,
your parents still
don't
have fucking
change
like
it.
empty jars of jelly with nails in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
No,
like,
my grandpa had that.
oh,
But
man,
like
my fucking
when we were kids, we were like my brother and I were like, oh, and CD burners, and that was a thing, you know, like through like LimeWire and Napster and all that stuff. We're like, oh, let's get a CD burner. We can have all the songs we want. We can just trade them and burn them and give them to our friends and all this stuff. And my dad's like, no. I don't want no fucking CD burner with fire in the house and shit. They're gonna be fucking, it's gonna be fucking smoke and
Yeah.
shit. He's like, no.
I want you
fuck-
to see burning down the house.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit! Like my parents are getting old; they don't understand technology and like all this normal shit. I was like, oh, this is crazy. I think if like once everybody gets to that point, then everybody gets to that point. I think with their parents, that then you like start looking at everything else. Then you're like, what else have I been like? What else am I, unaware of that they've been doing like completely crazy the whole
I
time?
like that they just like thought that you had dreams of being a welder.
Yeah.
You're like, I just want to listen to
Yeah.
some tunes, man.
Yeah, I just want to, listen to songs. Like, I don't want fucking smoke in the living room.
Next thing you know, smoke detectors are going off. I got
Yeah.
to fan them with the towel.
Like I'm like, yeah, like how chisel and like he's like welding or something.
You're like,
what-
Dad, how do you think CDs are made?
Yeah, yeah.
It's also funny if your dad
With
worked
a
like a
giant
tool and die
hammer.
shop. He's like,
Yeah.
somebody that's like, he's just like, you're
Yeah,
pouring
he's-
casks. I'm trying to watch Matlock.
Cast iron,
Yeah.
like pouring in the living room. I'm like, oh, man.
Where are you gonna get the raw materials for these things?
Raw material.
yeah.
Store all this plastic.
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, so like when you were like a kid, you already had like social media in high school, though, right? I want you to be like 22
Yes.
years old. You remember last year when you graduated high school? And
Yeah,
like,
of
you know,
course. Of course.
There was MySpace and all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely remember Facebook. Yeah,
Okay.
MySpace middle school. Yeah, middle school. For
Middle
MySpace,
school.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. We
Yeah.
just had yearbooks. That was it. Fucking old
Yeah.
school ass yearbook.
I don't know when
Have a kick-ass summer.
MySpace
Don't change.
was like
Ours
damn,
were
that was
like
middle school for you?
emo lyrics.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Middle school was like just like radio songs on the radio, and like you'd have to record them like when they
On the
come
tape?
on, and you'd like hit go upstairs, hit record,
for
it's
sure.
on,
Yeah.
and you'd get
Well,
like the
I remember
funny
that.
thing
DJ's
is-
like first like few like
Right.
seconds
Yeah.
of blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
here's this song, and then
Yeah.
you fucking
Chart at number 2 this week, dropping a spot. Here
Yeah.
comes Local H with Bound for the Floor.
or we know what we had the box. The box it was called, and it was you'd call up. It
The
was on
Mag
like
Box?
your
Oh, on TV?
Yeah, it was on TV. It was called The Box, and you would call, and it'd be like, if you want to hear this song, and then it would give you like a list, or like it was like MTV, but you could like call in and request a song to be played on your TV, and it was like music videos too.
Really?
And it was called The Box. Yeah, we had it in Milwaukee,
You're
and
doing pretty
and-
well out there in Milwaukee. You had that in-
Yeah.
in-
Yeah,
You had it here too in the Valley?
I still have my box.
Your box is still intact.
yeah,
It's full of tunes.
yeah. Our generation was that, and like fucking hitting the button on top of your cable box to see like naughty movies and shit. Like if you want to see like X-rated films and shit, you'd have
Just
to hit like
scrambled.
yeah, like scrambled fucking
Which is
porn
funny
and
because like
shit.
inadvertently you're like beating off the box, like, and then, like, fucking pleasuring a girl box on top of the TV.
So primitive though compared to like what kids now. Everybody's just got porn and songs and videos and
Yeah.
anything they want on their phone.
It's all there for the taking.
Yeah.
So weird.
Spoiled kids.
Why do you think that though? Why do you feel like your parents don't want to change? Just period. Like why
I
don't
think
they
I
that-
think
learn
I think
and
it's
change
like
with
you
the
They're
can't
unaware.
teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, this is it. Like this is how we're just gonna be for the rest of our lives. And we're just not gonna change anything. Just gonna be
Right.
the same. And
Yeah, well, but that's again. I think that's regionally, and I think it's
yeah,
also
I think it's
like the
Midwest mentality.
there. It's
you know?
slowly
Oh, yeah.
kind of changing because like the old people nowadays aren't like the old people when I was a kid. That like my grandparents like My grandparents, I don't think, bought clothes the entire time I was alive, or they were alive with me. Like they had whatever wardrobe they bought in 1970, they wore till they died in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It was like polyester, everything, and like just like they looked like they're still in the 70s, and like that was the norm for like grandparents in the 90s and the early 2000s and shit. And then like now, you don't see people like that. You don't see like a good old fashioned old person. You know what I mean?
Wearing the
like
same like fucking
just the same as you and
polyester
I. Yeah,
pants
exactly.
and Velcro shoes and shit.
Like your grandpa was like that. He was like a dude that fucking rocked his like, you know, old person swag. But now like fucking grandparents wearing like Hot Topic clothes and shit, and they're trying to like dress like they're 8th grader and stuff.
I mean, they're the last generation though that could actually like have money, have a house, like have cars and like all that shit. Like our generation's not that.
So that might be something to be said about it, where like they're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're like, no, I have clothes. Why would I waste money on clothes? I'm buying property. You know what I mean?
I should say actually, like our grandparents lived through like, you know, like wars and like, you know, learning to like save everything, like bent nails and straightening them out and shit.
Save everything but the planet.
Yeah. But then our parents lived through like a fucking booming economy for the majority of their like young adulthood into their like adulthood.
No, Dad, I don't work at the stable place that I can retire from in 25 years. I want to do something
like,
stupid.
I don't want to have like a secure job, like being able to afford like a house and a family on like a fucking McDonald's budget and shit. Like where do you work? Oh, I'm working McDonald's. Like, you know, like, or like fucking Al Bundy was a shoe man and he had a fucking house and 2 cars and 3 kids or 2 kids and a dog.
That's a real life story.
Yeah, but that's like how
it wasn't far fetched. Yeah,
it wasn't. It was like obtainable. It was like, oh yeah, it's fucking. You just
I had an uncle that was a fucking like glorified paper boy. He just had like a bigger route and took like a van to drop papers off. He was like a distributor amongst paper boys and shit. But like, he made his money off that. And I'm like, that like, my dad would clown him. It was like my dad was kind of like the laughing stock because he's a fraudulent, you know, contractor. But like, he's like, yeah, you're just a fucking paper boy. And I was like, yeah, well, you know, throw stones, you know, glass houses, shit. Yeah, but yeah, you could make your living. You could fucking have a house off of fucking selling newspapers and shit.
What would you be doing if you didn't move or out to California and pursue comedy? If you had to like stay home and do like a normal job, like what do you think you'd be doing if you didn't come out here and go on this crazy adventure?
If you never came to the big city,
I think probably something in like the mental health field. Probably.
Were you ever going to school for anything?
I wanted to become a talent manager. And then I moved out to Los Angeles and worked for like this big talent management company. Mm-hmm. And then I realized how really toxic that environment was. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
You're like, I want to be the talent that they fucking prey on.
Yeah. I want to do the harder thing. And then I worked for like a smaller talent management company. I was like, okay, like these people are like building smart people from the ground up. Maybe this is less toxic, but it still kind of was, in my opinion. It's just like people making money off of like the backs of, I don't know. It's just really strange and weird. And I was like, oh, I kind of realized I don't really want to do this, but the one thing that I like really loved doing was listening to comedy and going to comedy shows. Yeah. And then I worked for like a little office for a while, and then just the whole time I was in the office, I was just like listening to stand because it was like the one thing that like made me.
But you were in a band before that, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was in like I played music like most of my life. I learned drums in like middle school, and then picked up the guitar.
Who's your favorite drummer?
Me. No,
Tommy Lee.
Obviously, the guy from Def Leppard with one arm. Yeah.
Honestly, just anyone that can drum with one arm. Yeah. Honestly, just that.
What kind of music were you playing?
Rock, I guess. Rock. And then like I kind of played more like folk punk kind of a thing, like college. I don't know.
What is folk punk?
It's like.
It's probably the punk that I listen to that's just like old timey punk, like these old bands like Rancid and fucking.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking love Rancid, but I think like there's
not enough to be at their show on time.
That is true. We were a little bit preoccupied, all of us in the
However, something we didn't talk about in the podcast. We have talked about the Green Day concert.
Also, we saw Rancid.
Yeah. Taking their equipment off the stage, getting ready for the Smashing Pumpkins.
We heard the
Thank you, Los Angeles. That was the greatest show we've ever done. As we're walking in fucking SoFi.
I cannot believe what just happened.
Yeah. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity here.
We gave everybody who watched this show $100 bill. It's crazy. It's free money.
They did like a pinata with just filled with money.
Yeah. It's like, man, you guys just missed it. They're picking up hundreds off the ground. So you're in like rock bands and playing that. Did you ever think of like pursuing music professionally, or was that ever like the general consensus of any of the bands you were in? Like, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's try to do this. Let's try to make any kind of money off of doing
Mr.
this.
Big's coming to our show Fridays and check us out. Maybe we get a record deal.
Yeah, a record deal. No, I think like I don't think that I was in bands with people that like took it seriously, really. Like I think that we just like enjoyed doing what we did. And then I don't know, both of my parents were musicians, and I think that like they were just very, very, very critical of like anything that I ever did. Even if like just started, they're like, "Oh, this is bad." I'm like, I'm 11. You know, it's like it's just like I literally just so like I think that they were just kind of like I think they were just, I just associated it with like mentally with like this like hyper criticism. And I think that like when I found comedy, I was like, oh, I like that this is like that creative performing outlet, but I don't have to depend on anybody.
That's the main thing.
Like we had a show where like the drummer just didn't show up and it's just like, cool, we just don't have a drummer this show. And I was just like, I can depend on me. So like I can worry about myself and I don't have to like depend on anyone else. Like stand-up comedy, it's a one person thing.
What did your parents play? What were their instruments?
My dad played guitar and my mom sang. My dad was like, he was a really good he was like signed to like Capitol Records in like the 70s. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, he was cool. He was a great guitar player. But you know, I think I just saw them give up on their, give up.
Oh, so they were like jaded. They're like, I don't do this. You don't know what you're doing. Like,
I think
Dewey cocks you and shit. Like,
so I think,
Kelsey, you want this musician life.
You want none of
Look
this.
what it does. Yeah.
You want no part of this shit, Dewey.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to, they're like, don't.
Wait, can you sing though? You don't have to right now, but I mean, is that like?
No, not really. My sister was the singer.
Okay.
My sister was a singer. I was like, I enjoy playing music and singing.
Plot twist, she's got a sister. Okay.
Hello.
She's got a sister.
And my brother's a drummer.
Yeah. I wish.
Just the two?
I don't have just like random siblings across the country like you do.
You never know. Your dad was a Capitol Records guitarist in the 70s. You might have more siblings than you know.
That is true. But I feel like when you meet a woman, you're probably like, can I see your genealogy? I need to make sure we're not related.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I typically don't date whites.
Don't date
the whites.
That's a good way.
A lot less chance of being related.
That is a good way to do that. Although it's even funnier if you're like, what?
I see a lot of you in me, and now I'm weirded out by this.
I see me and you and you and me.
Yeah. And I live like my dad never came to California. He was strictly Wisconsin. Then I have like a half sister in Florida who's like in her 50s, I guess, or something.
Hot?
50s, something. She's dead.
Super hot. Looks like my dad, but alive. And a woman. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Your dad sounds like he fucks.
No, fuck. He'll fuck up. He'll fuck and fuck up things all the time.
Yeah, fuck up your life.
Fuck up shit. Yeah, he fucks. Yeah.
Ernie's fucking up this stick right now. I'm pretty good.
Oh, speaking of.
Yeah, we never even mentioned there's a dog on the episode.
Yeah, sorry. If you hear chewing throughout this whole podcast, it's this dog.
It's not our stomachs growling.
Can't see him in the camera view.
Dog growling.
It's Eric giving himself a coffee enema.
On the wide? Now you can see the dog.
All right. If you watch this on YouTube on Monday, you'll see, or tomorrow, you'll see the whole dog eating deal on the podcast. But sorry, go back to what we were talking about. Tony's dad fucking everybody.
I know. I like that. Me and
things up. Yeah.
Me and Tony were like, we had really messed up childhoods, and Eric's like, I called my parents' home the fun house. We're like, what's that like?
We lost our house to a bank one time, and Eric had a fun house.
How do you feel like
sometimes Christmas didn't show up?
Yeah. You saw like your dad abusing your mom growing up?
Yeah.
How do you feel like that?
How do you think I learned the moves? You know, no. It's the 1-2 dad. Yeah. I'm
now understanding why the wife. All right. I'm understanding the divorce now. No.
Well, maybe if I would have hit her, no,
if she didn't deserve
I would never do that. Ironically, no, I still do have the dishes that my dad used to beat my mom with.
What?
Yeah, those are the dishes we had.
The what ones?
The white ones with the fucking purple or the blue ring around it.
Oh, wow, the dishes didn't break. What a pussy.
Yeah, they did
This
break,
is why he was the laughing stock of...
So... That's why you kept him like, God damn, these things are durable.
Yeah, they're durable. They're so durable that when you drop them, they don't break. But my dad managed to throw a bowl at my mom's face, and it broke on her face and her eye. I remember like her crying and pulling glass out of her eye and shit in the bathroom. And I was like, "We better call Corel, Mom, and fucking get her money back for these dishes." But yeah, I was
that or be the next like sponsor. Fucking,
yeah, right.
Look at these things.
You got a bitch. You got a problem. You use our dishes to check that woman. Yeah.
How do you feel like those values and beliefs in you? Like, how do you feel like that shaped your adult romantic relationships? Like seeing that growing up, seeing that it's okay or there's.
I wasn't okay. I knew that was. I mean, it was definitely a known thing. It wasn't okay. And then my mom ended up leaving my dad like right around that time, right when I was like in second grade. So that's when
podcast is turned on to Tony now.
Yeah, and
from a friend from this kid forever. I think what like Tony is an incredible father, was an incredible husband, and I think he like
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was. He was like, I mean, so he did
might
everything
have
right.
A ball in her face, but he was a good dude.
Not my dad.
Not his dad.
Oh, you as a dad.
Yeah, him as a dad.
Sorry.
Actually met my dad.
I only saw him one time. We drove by his house and he was like shoveling snow or something.
We were doing a painting job, and I was actually there was a 8-year point where I didn't talk to my dad. And then we were down the road doing a fucking like painting job, and we drove. I'm like, "Yeah, went to my dad's house."
Like,
my dad was like,
"Balls at that." He was not a good man.
Yeah, it was like there was. But you were actually trying to get me to fucking like reconcile with him because my dad fucking reached out when I didn't talk to him from like 20 to 28, and then he like was like, trying to get the. He was going around the horn and calling all my siblings. Everyone's like, "You got to call dad. You got to call dad." I'm like, "I don't want to fucking call dad. Like, I'm fucking good. We're good. Like, I'm fucking like."
Basically, what I was trying to get at was that like growing up and seeing like all the things not to do.
Yeah.
Like when you're like a kid, right? And your parents are
the opposite day.
Yeah, it's like you do the opposite of them, like you rebel against them. And I think like Tony rebelled against like all the negative things he saw and was the positive of that. He's like, "Oh, this is how you're not supposed to do, like how you're supposed to treat your kids, and you're not supposed to beat your wife, you're not supposed to be a shitty dad, you're not." So he was like, "Okay, I'll do the opposite of that," and did like all the right things and all the good things. And like I think that's like the best testament for like his upbringing and how he took something negative and turned it into a positive. Because you'd think like, using it as a crutch, like, "Oh, my dad did this to me. I was like, this is how I was brought up, and woe is me," and all this bullshit. Right. And he never does that. He's always like, "Well, I'll just do the exact opposite, and I'll fucking just be better and be a good person." And so I would always think, growing up and stuff, you hear these stories. I've heard these, millions of times, and I'm like, man, like it's incredible. Like you're a fucking great person. Like this is so crazy. You've like overcame that because, if that, you hear so many other people have similar stories or that from him, and it, alters their life in a negative way, right? Where he never let that like bring him down. He kind of just rose above it and was like, "I'll show you guys how to do these things. If you don't even know how to fucking do them, I'll just be better than all you." And that's how I feel he's kind of done. So good job, buddy. You did it.
Was he like the Sean to your Ben Savage? Hold on. Boy Meets World. Was he like the Sean for you growing up? Like Tony was the broken home.
Exactly. Smoking cigarettes at a young age. Yeah.
He was my good family. Lloyd Christmas to my fucking who's the Def Jam?
Harry.
Harry. Yeah. I was like Harry. He's like the Lloyd Christmas. So
yeah, but I had a couple friends who's like, houses I'd hang around with and shit, like when I was a kid. So but like I don't know, even then though, I had like because of the fact that like I started like I was working at a young age, like my trajectory. So like in my kid's 5, so in like 3 years he's gonna have to get his first job. He'll be smoking in like 6 years. He's about to become a real big man in a short window of time. It's about 7 years away from drinking. Yeah,
like 3 away from smoking cigarettes.
Exactly.
But I do think that I agree with what you were saying too. I think that like some people are good people because of their parents, and then I think some people are good people in spite of their parents. It's just like feel like the people that grew up.
But the same thing with bad people though. I think some people are like, "Well, my dad was this way. I can be that way too. It was okay for him. It's okay for me." In the same way too, which is like, my parents wanted me to like these. I don't know how many fucking like rich friends I had growing up that are like their kid, like rich parents, rich kid. Turns out to be the biggest piece of shit kid, like just, and it's just because it's just, they don't want to do the fucking like, Ivy League school or whatever. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to fucking do heroin." It's like, well, maybe don't do that. It's like, just, you can not do what your parents want you to do, but don't have to go the extreme and fuck your life up and shit. And like, I think we saw that was some kids we went to school with as well.
Yeah.
Like,
or like my parents, like I said, they're great parents, and they were like so involved in every sport we ever did. They were like the mom and dad that were there, always like videotaping and cheering and all that stuff. They were there for everything. And my view of that as a kid, I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of work. I don't ever want kids.
Right.
Like, you know, so like that's what I learned from that. That's what my experience was from like having that great experience growing up. But I was like, wow, this is like so much sacrifice and work to have kids and have like a good family and stuff that like, I'm just too selfish. I don't want to waste.
Meanwhile,
all that
you
time
have your
doing
dog with you, and you're wearing like a tired fucking sports dog.
this is
Dog
just,
dad.
I'm Team Dexit. Like,
Dog,
I just don't understand how these parents like support their kids and shit. Like,
it's
just
true,
like-
but I mean, it's definitely a different level, I would imagine, than a person.
I was just
Eric
talking
made
about.
Ernie quit sports.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Yeah, your sports dreams get in the way
Yeah.
of my downtime. No, we were just talking about this at work the other day. There's like unless you know, like, okay, so the parent kid relationship, as opposed to like the owner and fucking pet relationship, like if they're both math, right? One's like basic arithmetic, like you have a dog and shit. I'm not like downplaying your love for your dog, but like it's not as much work as like changing shitty diapers, teaching them fucking how to like, potty train outside. I guess you potty train too, but like, I'm in the process of trying to teach my kid how to read. I'm like, this is a lot of fucking work, man.
Oh yeah,
like,
sure, 100% aware of all of that. That's why I always was like,
but it's there's still like a common theme of like love between the two. Just like you're doing 1 + 1 = 2, and I'm like trying to do fucking like trigonometry and shit. It's just like there's a lot of work here. There's a
I
lot
like
of
a
fucking,
goldfish, and you have
exactly.
like fucking like
chimpanzee that might be able to kill me and rip my face off at some point in time.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that chimp fucking owner on like Oprah that got her face ripped off?
Yeah, that was on
What's a good Google?
That's the new documentary, the chimp.
That's on there.
Chimp Crazy? No,
Chimp-
what's it called?
Chimp
I think
King
it's
or
Chimp
Chimp
Crazy. I
Queen
think
or something.
That's right.
Yeah, it's so good.
Chimp Crazy. Yeah,
It's so good.
that lady is on there. Where she has a mask,
there?
she's like a veil, and Oprah's like, "Can you please?" The craziest thing is she asked her, she's like, "Can you show your face and lift your veil up?" And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she fucking opens it up, and just like, Jesus fucking, like that
and
was on like
everyone-
daytime
Do it-
TV.
Can you do this for the ratings? Like, no one wants to see
like-
that shit. No, I didn't want to. And that broad had the fucking balls to say, "I thank God that he didn't kill me." It's like, I would thank. I would be fucking cursing his name. Like, let me fucking just end. She's got like no arms left. They fucking ripped her to pieces and shit like that. No, thank you.
It's like, I just ripped my friend's face off, and then like there was
She was
another part in
house
that
sitting,
I think where she's like, like, oh no, I know it wasn't that. It was another some stand up said something where he's like, I ripped my friend's arm off because he got a goofy haircut or some shit. Like he got a new haircut, so the monkey had ripped his hand off or something, like fucking some crazy thing. But yeah, that's a absolutely insane documentary.
Yeah, that documentary was literally just saying like people should not be owning chimpanzees as pets.
dude.
They're
Right.
like past being babies, they're like extremely volatile.
and they're
Yeah,
extremely
they-
strong. They're like
Yeah,
wicked
eh,
strong.
yeah.
Yeah, they're absolutely terrifying. And I mean that they can't have like those animals, they can't be domesticated. Like there's like, it's like having like a tiger kitten, or like a lion kitten. Like, you can have it for like a couple weeks, but then it's like a fucking lion. Like
Right,
it's gonna like
right.
just like, or like there's a story of a guy that like raised a hippo. Like, that hippo that's really all over the internet now. It's like this cute slippery hippo. I forget its name. It's like, I don't know what the fuck its name is, but got like really famous. Like,
Shad, your algorithm. Like,
Yeah,
cute
yeah.
little slippery hippos.
yeah,
Shit.
I don't know. All my algorithm is like puppies.
Call
and
it
fucking,
Slippo.
Like, yeah. And
Slippery hippo sounds something that's on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. It got like super famous for just being like this
Flipping
cute
around.
new baby hippo. Well, somebody had in the past had like raised a baby hippo like till it was an adult, and it like fucking ate him. Like it just like
Oof.
ate him, like ripped him apart, and like that's because you can't domesticate them. They're like crazy animals. Like you just can't do that.
How do you get eaten by a hippo? I mean, how do you get like cornered by them? I mean, like
They're
how do you not see it coming?
they're like
You know
the
what I mean?
most aggressive animal. Like in, like
no,
the
there's
fucking
more deaths from hippos in like
And I'm not going
We're
to stand
just-
for this hippo victim blaming. Okay, this is Tony. This
do
is
not speak ill on the hippos.
yeah, but like, what did they do to provoke the hippo?
Yeah.
They must have been asking for it, make fun of their big ass teeth.
Yeah. What
show
were they
these fucking
wearing?
teeth do.
Yeah. What were they wearing? Did it have a goofy haircut?
Yeah.
I mean, the hippo did buy him dinner.
Yeah, I mean, all that shit is fucking crazy. That documentary is nuts. People that like have animals that should only be in like the wild or like in captivity zoos for like rehabilitation and stuff like that. Like, why would you want to have that responsibility? And like also like,
well, Eric,
or
that's the
bear
problem is,
trainers,
like,
people that do that, like that shit's a thing. Like that thing could just maul you and kill you, and just one little thing that's and you're just like, oh, my face is gone. Like just from one little thing. Like I have a scar on my fucking face from my last dog that was the same little miniature dachshund, so cute and all those things.
But you still bought another one.
I did.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I did.
Wow, Eric, what a pussy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I didn't have that one from a puppy. This one I feel like I have a better thing. But like
Train him to not bite faces,
it's still an animal though.
Yeah.
Like even when I go to the dog park, I'm like, there are some dogs where I'm like, yeah, like if this dog like did like wanted to just like bite me, it could like really fuck me up and
Right.
probably kill me.
German
Like
Shepherds
Yeah.
fuck you up.
yeah, like
Pitbull.
So why are dogs, how can they be domesticated then? Like, why is that the animal that are able to be docile?
I think
Just
the-
we
if
keep
you look it
breeding
up,
the docile
it
ones?
says that they're actually man's best friends. So it's part of their job title. You know?
so I watched something on this recently, and the thing
Hippo,
is
man's
like
worst friend.
way back when it was just wolves. Like all dogs are from wolves. They all come from wolves originally, right? So back when there was like cavemen and stuff, it like wolves would go to like around the fire, around where like the cavemen would be, and they'd have meat and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So they learned that instead of being killed,
Yeah.
if they were more docile and like started to like, okay, like we're getting more from being like nice than we are from being mean.
Right.
So like it slowly like domesticated them to be like a pet, and
Yeah.
like, and then now like dogs are like majority of them are just like, loving, and they can prolong their lineage and their species and their breed by being affectionate and like nice, apart from being like aggressive and mean. Like it's like something in their like their gene line that's like, okay, this doesn't work anymore for us. This is what we have to go to, and this is over like hundreds of thousands of years,
Yeah.
or like a long time.
Billions of years.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because cats took the other school of thought. We're like, if we treat people mean, then we'll get treated. We'll get fucking nip and boxes
I
to
know.
poop and pee in. We don't have to go outside.
Yeah.
Like they get everything they want indoors, and they're fucking like super allergic.
Dude, I know cats remind me of like mean bartenders.
Yeah.
Like when you're like, can I get a drink? And they're like,
Don't look at me. Yeah.
they just
Don't look at
ignore you.
me.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I love you.
Eyes up here. Eyes up here. Yeah.
Eyes up here.
Yeah.
Do you have any pets?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever have any pets growing up?
I grew up with some cats.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't think I like cats very much, though. They're kind of cool, I guess, but it's like, I don't know.
Not a cat guy. I mean, like
Yeah.
cats love me, and like I'm very allergic to them. But like I just don't really. It's missing that. Like again, it is the attitude. And I was like, dogs are so dumb and fucking loving. Oh yeah, that's the appeal. You know what I mean? Like, why would you want some prissy ass cat that's like hiding all the time? You don't know if it's inside or outside. Like and I don't know how many people in LA have the indoor outdoor cat that they just kind of let go around the neighborhood and shit. Like in my old neighborhood, there was a cat named Jack. He was a cool cat. But like he
Cat
just
named
like
Jack.
legit, yeah. What's up, cat? What's up, Jack? And like
He played jazz.
yeah. And I forget what his brother's name
He's
was.
like
but there was like two
smoking
he had a
cigarettes
little-
on the
yeah,
corner
just
by the
fucking-
trash
it was
cans.
It was a
and
cool
fish
black and white
bones on the
cat with
floor.
a hey, what's going on, Jack?
We're riffing.
then-
I'm so sorry.
No,
Please
and then
continue.
he had a brother named Teddy. It was like the Teddy cat and Jack cat, and like the but they would just kind of walk around the neighborhood and shit like that, and then like one of them got hit by a car eventually because they're fucking outdoors and people drive by, and that's just like part the cost of doing business and shit. But the neighbors hated the fact that this is like the cats would just roam wild and shit, because they would fucking have like cat footprints all over their cars, and the cats would just hang out on their car or under their car because it was warm. And then like they'd had like one of the neighbors put like a little fake snake on the back of the car to ward off the fucking cat because the cats don't like it. I'm like, you become a problem. You're a nuisance to your neighbors because your cats are indoor outdoor cats. Like they're in or out. Like they, fucking like you can't have it because like now your free loving cats are fucking up everyone else's shit. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that. Like
Plus, I just feel like because okay, we had some indoor cats and then some outdoor, like
yeah.
that could roam as they please, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the ones that were just indoor cats, they were like so much nicer and cooler and like cuddly. But the ones that were like inside outside, I'm like, oh, you kind of suck.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
they're
abusive.
like, they
Well,
kinda-
exactly, because I'm giving you some time, but I really want to be outside right now. Like, yeah.
yeah.
They're like dead animals and shit in their mouth. Tony's
Yeah.
grandma killed a bunch of baby cats.
My grandma did kill a bunch of baby. Like, they call them kittens, but yeah, she killed them. Killed the kittens.
Killed kittens.
She was like,
drown
you
them
know,
in a
Trying to
bucket.
soften
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's like,
She murdered kittens, not baby cats.
you're like, no,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the reality.
It was a dozen. It was a litter of fucking. No, it was like
Put
in
in a full
hindsight,
day's worth
huge
of
red
baby,
flag.
baby
yeah.
cat drowning. Just
Grandma, what's
drown
wrong?
them in a
I'm
bucket.
just tired. I was murdering cats all day.
she was trying to make a
And the
coat.
way she did it, she was like
Cat Ella DeVille.
they were,
Yeah.
they were living under the back patio and shit, and like, as anyone would, just fucking hold their head in a bucket of water till they fucking went limp, and it's like the cat, my
Next.
cat. Yeah, long day of work. Yeah, it's fucking.
Why?
Well, why not? What else do you?
Give them away?
Yeah,
Still like
a
cats.
rational person. In hindsight, we think that's probably when her Alzheimer's was kicking in and shit. Because there's a couple other factors, and it's just like, oh, and she's like an old, farm woman that used to fucking like rip the heads off chickens and shit and like prepare food on a farm. So like, I was like, I don't know, maybe that's just something they do on the farm in Iowa. It's like fucking murder cats in their spare time on a Saturday. But like, that's just was also like, she needed to get rid of this cat problem that was under the fucking patio. Was fucking was ruining her Matlock watching and shit, and Brewers baseball. So what else are you gonna do? Just fucking.
My
one by
grandfather
one.
ate a dog. Yeah, ate a dog.
Was it the one that scratched you?
Yeah. Listen up, buddy.
All right, now
Play
you
your
soup.
You want to eat Opa's dinner?
It was during World War II in Germany, and they didn't have anything to eat, and everyone was starving to death. And then he got invited over to his neighbor's house, and he was like, "Wow, I can't believe you got meat.
Ooh, what is this meat? This
Yeah.
is so delicious.
Where did you get this meat from? This is absolutely amazing." And then he's like,
tender is the
he's like,
loins.
"Where's the
Yeah.
dog? Where's Bongo?" And he's like, "Fucking,
Bongo.
you're
Yeah.
eating him right now."
Yeah.
And so like, "Oh well, that sucks, but he's delicious." And yeah, so
Devore.
So
What
put-
animals
give me
have
the
your
family eaten
shepherd's
or
pies,
killed?
Yeah.
None that I know of, but I feel very grateful that I never witnessed animal murder before. That's one trauma I don't have.
You're like, I've only witnessed real murder.
Yeah, thank goodness.
That's why you got that thing, the Diddy thing in your feed. Right? Has Diddy violated you?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was before the podcast. We should
Yeah.
let
Yeah,
the
yeah,
audience know.
yeah.
That was an interesting thing.
It was like an Instagram ad.
yeah, Instagram ad. What was it? You say it. You
Yeah,
tell
it
us.
was like, have you ever been? Yeah, has Pdiddy ever wronged you?
That's so
Join
just
the
random that they're just like
lawsuit
blanketing
or something?
fucking social media now. It's like,
I feel-
anyone else want
That's
to get
kind of
on a
like that.
fucking
Do you
mass
suffer
action?
some misomyeloma? or whatever?
mesothelioma?
Yeah, like they're trying to
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
like all the lawyers everywhere are just like, oh, we can make money off this. Let's blanket the fucking everything. Let's just try to get as many lawsuits as we can on our hands.
So weird. I thought it was like a joke, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, oh no, this is okay.
But I'm sure there are like a lot of like lawsuits coming to that guy. I would imagine.
There's going to be that whole thing will dig
Sounds
up
bad.
track. Yeah, exactly. Some people be like, I didn't know how to find you, but now I do because of this fucking Instagram thing in my feed and shit like that. And there's to be
I think he's gonna get
stories.
Epstein. He's just gonna
For
be
sure.
like, oh yeah, we found him. He was just hanging.
just
in
killed
a-
himself,
Yeah,
stabbed himself in the heart twice, typical death.
Yeah, it's,
You think?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think he's gonna.
absolutely.
He's
He's not gonna
yeah.
fucking stand trial. He's not gonna. He will definitely be murdered or kill himself for sure.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I feel like just with the rumors around like who was on that list of all the people, it seems like everybody and their fucking grandma was on that list. That is like an influential like star, and I feel like that's just too much money and power to not just kill that person. Like just get rid of them, and then we won't have to hear a testimony or like hear more
Yeah.
people come out and all that kind of stuff. Which is weird too. It's like that Epstein thing. Like, don't they have all the plane logs and like all this like evidence from the other lady that was doing that stuff with him? She's like in jail now, but like you don't really hear anything else about it. You just like there's like, oh yeah, there's a list, and they have all these like ex-presidents and people that were on this list and like celebrities and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's like nothing ever happened from it. They're just like, yeah, well. Like, I guess we'll
I wish
just,
we
no, I
knew
guess we'll
the- I
never
wish we
know.
got to the bottom of
Like, it's
that.
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
they
that's again
know?
too goes to show what shit gets buried in the news because, like, you look at like back in the day with like the fucking Watergate scandal with Nixon, like people were dug into that. There was like actual like, you know, enthusiastic investigative journalists that were like, I'm going to get down to the bottom of this story and show that. But like people are just like, they say don't talk about it. No, I'm not going to talk about it. Now it's just kind of fucking buried. But
well, and a lot of that stuff too was like, it was broadcast. It was like on TV. Like you could watch like, you know, the Nixon trial and it'd be like people testifying and like giving their open testimony on, and like in the courtroom. And now there's like, you know, I don't think they're allowed like most of those, which is weird.
depends.
I think they had to
say.
like say like, oh, we allow like the cameras in the courtroom, but like 99% of the time it's just not.
I always get a kick out of those like weird fucking like marker drawings they do of the court cases. You
The
know, it's just
sketches
like, yeah,
and
it's
shit.
like it looks like a caricature from like the Wall Street Journal and shit. It's just like, this is what this guy, look how angry he is. He's got a frumpled brow and shit. I'm just like, why don't you just take a picture? Like, you can't take a picture?
Yeah, it's so weird. That's a good point. Like why
Yeah.
can you draw somebody but you can't take a picture?
Well, if
of
you
it?
take a picture, then those artists are going to be out of a job. You know, you can't have these people, these robots, these fucking
Yeah, I wonder what the
security?
logic
Yeah,
is though.
exactly.
So like, how about like you could take one picture?
one picture only.
Like you, they're not like drawing like, I don't know. Like usually it's like one or like one drawing of each defendant or person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is him on the trial, very angry.
if you know why, contact the Eric and Tony Show and tell us why,
Yeah, I'm very interested.
or don't.
Did
What
you
do you guys think about the P Diddy thing?
I think it's all a scam. I think he's completely innocent. Seems like a really down to earth guy. You know,
I don't
like-
know if you learned anything.
Yeah.
I think you're still on your dad's side.
I don't even think that
and-
was really him in the video beating the shit out of a woman in a fucking hotel. Like, if you look at that video now,
You really
knowing,
don't?
like, I'm fucking no. I obviously think it's him. Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think it's
It's
crazy.
AI.
I think what- I think what the-
I don't know.
I think the craziest thing about that video is the fact that, like, you know, one, he was kind of downplaying that whole thing until that came out. But two, when you watch it, the way he carries about himself, like he's a guy that looks like he doesn't give a fuck about anyone. Like literally, like he embodies like I'm above the law, you know, mentality. It's
Well,
not
yeah,
big
like-
dick energy. It's fucking like I ain't getting fucking in trouble for shit ever. I'm always gonna get away with shit. That type of fucking like, you know,
Yeah, it's
craziness
the,
and shit. And
standard, typical, like super wealthy celebrity that
it's not
doesn't-
just that though.
Also-
It's not that. It's the
yeah.
fact that like that dude's definitely like, if shit does come out, he's definitely had people murdered. Like there's several people that they're trying to tie it together with him. Like they fucking put Tupac on him like before this shit came out, like last year sometime. Like, which is also crazy too, because like you think about like the black community, it's just like over some shit, whatever may have been the catalyst, like you're gonna kill like one of the biggest icons for your culture over some, you know, petty shit. Like that's crazy. But you know, that's that I forget the guy that was like did the hit said it was him. So there's all this crazy shit. So if you've been getting away with murder for years, beating a woman isn't going to be like something that's going to fucking, you know, make you be phased all like that.
Yeah,
So,
there's
like,
part of me
Yeah,
that's
I
like
think-
either he's gonna be like Epstein and like hang himself, or in prison, or he's just gonna like get out and like he's gonna, you know, nothing. It'll just be like, hey, don't do that. That was bad.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he'll just pay like a $100 million fine and just be
Yeah,
like,
It's
'cause I think
crazy.
it's not only just that too. I think that like abusers have that. It's the mentality of abusers, which they have this entitlement, where it's like, yes, I can beat a woman, and there's nothing wrong with that because we're allowed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
entitlement of like I'm justified in what this is, and it's
Right.
I think that that's like the culture that needs to die, and like the culture that I think that is moving towards the future, hopefully, is the culture of that the gender assignment, which is that men and women are equal, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have an entitlement to abuse a woman,
Right.
regardless of your reason.
he's from a different time, you know. that's
That's
like when
what
they
I'm
always say, like,
saying.
yeah, you know, he's born before it was, you know, wrong to be racist. Born before it was wrong to be true. No, that guy. But again, in a weird fucking power trip scenario, because it's not just fucking women. Like he's also been accused of like, you know, fucking sexually abusing men, drugging them, a whole like some of the shit. There's like 120 fucking like different cases that like just came out that are all trying to go to court against him individually for men and women and shit like that. And then there's something that was just like they said
but it's
that,
that
like,
power structure. It's like he's like, oh, I can. It's like who's the other guy, that the producer guy that's
Oh,
in jail,
Weinstein. Yeah.
It's like that kind of shit where like, oh, I can get you this role,
you want to
but
get
you
star,
gotta
don't you? Yeah.
shove this bottle up
Yeah.
your ass and, you know,
Right.
do what I want you to do or whatever. And then people are like, oh, well, okay, you know, like it's like that weird power dynamic where they can just fucking like take control of your whole life, and then you're like kind of like under their power.
I know. I feel like I'm happy with the way that the culture is going. Like I'm happy that like abusers are being held accountable, but I wish that there were more whites. Like I just with like R. Kelly and Pdiddy, it's like okay, like it kind of feels like chewing nicotine gum when I really want a cigarette. It's like I just want them to be white men because.
Yeah. But that is though. You have like as much as R. Kelly. R. Kelly has like that's a small little thing. And I'm not downplaying the tragedy it was, but compared to like a Weinstein thing or an Epstein.
Those are R. Kelly's was pretty huge too, but that was like I watched that documentary. That was like,
but he wasn't.
He had a whole like fucking system of that. That was like a whole enterprise.
He's basically the equivalent to like a Harvey Weinstein, right? Where they were running their own little show, but you have like a fucking a honeypot like a fucking Epstein or a P. Diddy where like they're like, hey, guess what? I'm trafficking people. You want some of this? I'm catering this party of sex trafficking. You get one. There was a chick that was like talking about I think her name's Allie Carter, who was on doing an interview about like she was 14 and like Diddy would like pass her on like a party favor and shit. It was just like so that she was kind of trying to get ahead of it if these videos come out. Like she's not having a good time. She was 14 in these videos, but she might be trying to play it out like she's a fucking like child just like pushed in that kind of shit, like the same way as Usher or like Justin Bieber and stuff. But yeah, that's crazy. I hope I hope that fucking all those people get fucking cleaned the fuck out and like get sent away in jail. Like everyone that partook in that shit. But I don't know. I don't have faith in that actually happening because I don't fucking think
they'll probably be elected into Congress at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Be the next president and vice president, P. Diddy.
Meanwhile, they're like,
R. Kelly.
Hey, look at this new rocket that we just made land back on. Again, just like this fucking huge distraction. It's like Tesla has a self-landing rocket. Like, yeah, what about the pedo ring that's going on? Like, tell me more about that shit. Like, fucking give me some closure on that. I don't care about a plan to go to Mars. Yeah, do you know they found a fucking sixth ocean underground? It's another ocean they just found recently, like literally like 2 days ago. They're like, hey, there's a whole other ocean we missed that's in like a fucking cavity under a continent that they just happen to find. I'm like,
Kelsey wanted to add to the other thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, that's awesome.
No. That's totally cool. But let's stay focused. Let's keep on the same fucking path here.
No, but I think that even with Epstein thing, it's like, but he also along the way, like also managed to villainize a woman. So it's kind of like, I want more white men that
we already already enough bad enough white men.
But I want them to be held accountable. I want those to be the standards of like rich, powerful white men are not allowed to be abusers because the culture is that people are not allowed to abuse women anymore. It's not okay. Even like the legals.
That's not good enough. Wait, you're like trying to basically put the target on the back. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm saying she is a villain.
We've been white guilting for about 40 plus years already. Like we get it. Everyone gets like the white guy's the bad guy. Like the common bullshit narrative is like, fuck Eric. Have we not heard that our entire life? Like, Eric, you're the reason why everything's bad in the world. Like, is a known thing. Now, is there still a lot of white men in power that still do bad shit? Yes, because there's a fucking huge majority of the population.
I think white guys are more the school shooter, bombing.
Yeah, the shady businessman, the white collar crime, the blue collar crime.
I think we got that.
Lone gunman,
I think we got
all that
down.
Shit. Yeah, we get that theme.
I think that's like our
yeah.
And domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
There's actually
rings.
a higher number of white men that are domestic abusers than any other race.
Yeah, because there's more white men. There's just more of us doing everything.
I don't think so.
What are you talking about?
I really do.
Statistically, more white men than any other type of male in this country.
Well, yes.
So there's going to be more of them doing fucked up shit because that's how fucking statistics work. There's more of them doing every job down the line, abuser, pedophile, fucking welder, mason. There's just more white men. So
knocking it out of the park with fucking horrible actions.
And I do think the majority of white collar crime is fucking rich white men because that's who the fucking is at the top. Like that is definitely like that should be more exposed and they should be held accountable for shit. There should be a lot more fucking like that's actually the biggest thing is like those crimes that aren't like, persecuted. Yeah. The white collar crimes should be fucking like held more accountable. It's always like, all right, you lose your fucking like C-level fucking badge and like, you're no longer work here and you're just gonna fucking collect your fucking stocks and shit. But like,
well, that's like the McMahon documentary that came out on Netflix. It's kind of like the same thing. A guy, white guy, tons of power, like abusive, did all the same. Like he's being charged for like sex trafficking and like having people like that. That's your white buffalo. Right
there.
Now
We
we
go.
need
That's
though
what I gotta watch.
is to hold accountable the white women that make all the white men do that shit. Who do you think they're doing it for? Fucking white women. Yeah, they're the ones pulling the strings. It's the shadow fucking government in the white household.
And that's what everyone says. Behind every white man abusing a woman is a woman abusing the man, huh?
No, pulling the strings. You want a bigger house, don't you, sweetie?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Women are like, abuse more women.
You should have seen my mom using my dad's hands to beat herself. You know what I mean? I saw it in house. Stop making me hit myself.
But even like the legal system is catered towards abusive men. Like it was just a thing. It was just a cultural belief that that men were just allowed to beat their wives and allowed to rape their wives because that's how you maintained order and control and dominance in the home.
And that's why the world's so out of order now.
Who was that that actor? He was like, who is it? He was like, yeah, I think he's dead now.
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery. He's like, your wife is acting up. You just slap the shit out of him a little bit. And then he said it on like a TV interview. And then everyone was
Johnny
like,
Carson. Everyone's like, yeah, he's right. That's Sean. He's fucking, that's James Bond, 007. He's got a few tricks. You gotta slap her.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a culture, and I feel it is shifting.
But Sean Connery, too. There's like a fucking Hollywood story about him having an affair with a woman that was on set with him. It was an on-set affair. And then she was going to go break up his fucking marriage. And he murdered her and shit. Like there's all those crazy ass fucking stories go back.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy stories, this is the part of this story and this podcast where we like to ask our guests what they're up to next. Where can people find you? Because we are coming to the close of this podcast. We like to ask our guests where they can find them and the things that they're going on. Yeah.
You can stalk me. Abusers, keep abusing. No, you can follow me at I am Kelsey Lane.
The car without power steering.
You said what?
At the car without power steering.
Yeah. Fix my car. You can find me.
Go fund me.
By fixing my car. No, I am Kelsey Lane, and you can always find me at the Secret Room Comedy Show.
Good plug.
So, pretty good show.
We got a show tonight. You're not going to make it for because it's going to be out till tomorrow. But we have another show November 3rd, my 42nd birthday. And,
whoa.
Yo!
24th birthday. I'm dyslexic.
Gross. So old, huh?
Gross.
I don't like the way that men age out of being attractive.
Getting worse by the day.
All right. That's it? You got a
handle?
Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, I was just piggybacking on her. Yeah, you can find me at Tony Klein Comedian on Instagram, TonyKleinComedian.com on my website. You can see me pushing Kelsey's car down the street at some point in time. And Eric, where can the good folks find you?
Find me on this fucking podcast. Go to theericandtonyshow.com. You can buy a t-shirt. You can buy a fucking hat. You can buy some glass to buy
dog
for
gear.
beer. You can go to the Short Dog Designs. You can buy some...
Oh, little kitty.
You can buy some shirts with this dog insignia that I made for this guy. And then you can go to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. The full video of this podcast will be out every Monday on YouTube.
All right, calm down.
You can also find the full audio on Spotify every Monday. We post it, and then every day on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. We do 60-second clips of the featured guests. So it'll be Kelsey this week, and you'll be getting blown up in my DMs every day, or in your DMs, and I'll be sending you clips. So you can check that out, get little clip notes, and that is it. That's where you can find us.
Can I wrap up with saying one thing? Yes. Just because I wanted to piggyback on what you're saying, and I was like, and now I have it in my head, and if you don't let me say it, you sound women. No, but like what you were saying with like the culture, like, and people were like, oh, it's funny, like what Sean Connery is saying is funny, but like also like humor is how we understand our culture, and like the root of that joke is still perpetuating an old culture.
He was being serious though. He was very serious. Like you gotta hit your wife up.
Yeah. But even as like people will play off as like humor, it's funny. But I think that like as comedians, we have this responsibility to continue advocating for new culture in our comedy, because people understand and collect data about their culture based off of comedy. So that was all I wanted to say about us.
I agree with
as
that.
comedians. So come to Secret Room Comedy where you can
learn about our
see
culture.
comedy. Yeah.
Get reprogrammed.
Peace. Thank you so much, Kelsey.